Hello, it's Rhonda Thomas, and we're about to do Managerial Accounting's Chapter 3 intro exercises and basic exercises. So let me share my screen. Okay, I have the 8 problems open that we're going to work on in Chapter 3. So in Chapter 3, we're going to work with process costing. And at first, we need to have some kind of an understanding about what that is. So job order costing was in Chapter 2. And now we're going to work with process costing in Chapter 3. All right. So process costing is usually for items that are mass produced, usually in assembly line or in large quantities. They're more homogeneous items, which means they're alike. So steel, for example, would be process costing. To go out to consult on a specific business, that's much more customized. It's much more unique. Okay. A web designer. So I would say each website is probably different than the other. A computer chip manufacturer would be process costing. Candy making, food and beverages and liquids and things tend to be process costing. And then the fact that this is designer clothing, if it didn't say designer, then you might be able to argue that it's process costing. But this is job order costing. Okay. All right, so I've got my spreadsheet open, and we need to make sure we understand there are 4 steps to what we're going to learn to do. It's called a production report. Okay, so the first 2 steps involve units only. Then the last 2 steps involve costs. So you can draw a T account, and by the way, since we're in process costing, however many processes you have or departments, that's how many WIPs you're going to have. So I have a WIP inventory account started here for number 2. Okay, so this is a steel company with 2 departments, casting and rolling. In the rolling department, the casting department ingots from the casting department are rolled into the steel sheet. The rolling department received 41,100 tons from the casting department. So I put that down. So they received 41,100 tons. Then we want to look for during the month of October, they completed 52,500. And then our inventory on October 1st was 13,500. Okay, and then our ending inventory was 2,100. Okay, 2,100. So what they want to know is how many tons were started and completed. Okay, started and completed. So here's how you calculate started and completed. All right, started and completed equals completed units, which is here, minus the beginning balance. Okay, these 2 numbers here. So you have to subtract this from this. All right, so 52,500 minus 13,500 is 39,000 started and completed. We have to get used to calculating started and completed. All right, because you're going to need to be able to calculate 3 groups worth of units. Group 1, group 2, group 3. Okay, so 39,000 tons is how many started and completed. And once again, started and completed equals, okay, let me put this as an equal sign, equals completed units, which we know to be completed, to go out of here, they have to be completed, and then we subtract the beginning units. Beginning units. Okay, and that's 13,500. So once again, here's how we calculated it. And then once again, this is completed. Let me label this. This is completed. And then this is beginning inventory. Beginning units. And then this is started and completed. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so make sure we're right. Yes. Okay, now we're going to go to number 3. The second step in the production report is to come up with what are total equivalent units. We're going to do this for direct materials only here. Okay, so this is going to be direct materials. So we're going to start off with the beginning work in process, which is 4,000 tons. They are 70% complete. So, okay, and the other thing you want to make sure you understand is that, hang on, let me go get this. I had it on my sheet here. Direct materials cost, by the way, this is first in, first out. Okay. And I'm going to put this in here. So this is first in, first out. Direct materials costs are added when each unit begins. So all of these units have all of their direct materials. Okay. What they're missing is conversion costs, okay, of 30%. So just so you know, finish 30% conversion. Okay, so if you're already 70% done, then finish 30% conversion costs. Okay, and I'm going to make this a little bit wider so that we can see it. All right. But we're just talking materials right now. So transferred in from the process before, which is casting. Okay, that is, okay, here's the number completed. Okay, here's the number completed, 66,700 tons. Okay, and then ending inventory had 3,300 in it. That is 80% complete for conversion costs. Okay, for conversion costs. So group one is, we've got 4,000 units sitting there. We don't need to add any more for direct materials because they're all there. Okay, so group one does not have a number that produces for equivalent units. Okay, but our started and completed, which is right here. Okay, started and completed. So let me put this, started and completed. So, okay, these two numbers have to add up to available. And they told us how many was completed, how many is still in inventory, and that's how much available is. Available is your ending inventory plus your completed. So that's how we got that, right there. And then we backed into this amount, all right? So now it's 62,700 for direct materials, and then ending materials. All of the units are there for direct materials, so it's just 3,300, and then we add together the started and completed and the ending inventory units, and we get 66,000 units. Okay. So some of this you might have to just learn to use a table and try to make sure that you understand. So now we're going to do the second part of step 2, and this is with regards to the conversion costs. Remember, conversion costs are direct labor and manufacturer overhead. Okay, so now we're going to do this. All right, so it says that the rolling department had 88,568 tons. There it is. They are 70% complete. No, I'm sorry, they are 30% complete. In fact, let me put 30% complete. Okay, so you're going to have to use 70% when it comes to our conversion costs. So when we take our whole number of $8,568 times 70%, you get 5,998. Okay, so then okay, okay, so here we go. Okay, here's the completed, right? We completed 61,200. We're going to subtract beginning inventory from there, and there is how we get our started and completed. One more time for the record. I'm putting this in here. So this is 61,200 minus $8,568 equals okay, there's how we're getting that. There is how we are getting started and completed. Okay, so you have to think about that as you're beginning to understand how this calculates. Okay, so here's started and completed. That's why we have that there. And then the last one is ending. So whatever the ending units are, it is 3,060 units. They are 70% complete, and we do use the completion, okay, on the ending, 70%, and that's the one we use. But up here, let me make this a little bit wider. Okay, so we have to use the inverse in the beginning. That's how much it takes of conversion costs to finish. All right, and then our started and completed. Okay, and then ending. So we're looking at total equivalent units for conversion cost of 60,772. Okay, so that's different. That's a different number, right? Because our equivalent units for direct materials was 66,000, and now our equivalent units for conversion costs are 60,772. Okay, powering through. Okay, now we're going to get, this is step 3. Okay, step 3. And in the production report, it says the cost of the direct materials were 492,000. Okay, and the total equivalent units for direct materials are 3,000. So when you divide the total direct materials by the number of tons, you get $164 a ton. Yep, that's its cost per equivalent unit. This is step 3. Then the next one is there are 318,000 in conversion costs, and they have equivalent units that they want us to use of 5,300. So that makes $60 per equivalent ton. Okay, so all right, number 6. Okay, cost of units transferred out and ending work in process. Okay, so we have 3 groups. We have the group 1 is October 1's inventory, right? We don't need any more units to finish up group 1 under direct materials, but we do need 2,500. So I'm just keying in what they're putting in here. Okay, so I'm not doing any calculations. And then you add up. Okay, here's your total units to be assigned costs. So this is your EQ units as far as direct materials is concerned, and these are your EQ units as far as conversion costs are concerned. Here is what they told us direct materials cost per unit is $285 and $115. Okay, so then we want to divide, or I'm sorry, we want to take, all right, so here we go. Here come the costs. Okay, here come the costs. So there aren't any under direct materials, so we'll just do direct materials. Here is the EQ units in beginning inventory times 285. You're going to get a 0. Okay, but over here we want our EQ units in the beginning times $1.15, and that is $28.75. Okay, so that's our first, right? And then we also have to add $14.50 because at the beginning of work in process had $14.50 in it. So when you add these two numbers together, that is the cost of group 1. Group 1 started with $1,450 and it needed to be finished as far as conversion costs are concerned. And we took 2,500 units in beginning inventory times the conversion cost per unit, which is $1.15. So you have to add these two numbers together to get group 1. Okay, these costs here are going to be added, right? Because whatever's sitting there in the beginning is going to be transferred first. So here is how much it costs for those first so this is how much to finish the beginning units. So they're complete and they will go out of the account along with our started and completed. Okay, so started and completed is up here. This is the cost of started and completed. This is the units of started and completed. So we're going to take 49,000 started and completed units times $2.85, and we get 139,650. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take 49,000 started and completed units times $1.15. And when you add across, it comes to 196, and then you're going to add down. This is the total amount that transferred out of work in process of the rolling department. So 200,325. Okay. Now we want inventory at the end. So now we go get the equivalent units for group 3, which is the ending inventory times 285. And we go get the equivalent units, which isn't going to be as many because they're not completed yet, group 3, right? So 2,400 times $1.15 is 2,760. And now we are going to add this to our amount, and now we add down. So the total costs assigned are 214,485. Okay, so you add down to get your total costs assigned. Now, just trust the process here. Okay, all right, we're gonna do number 7. Okay, these are journal entries. So as I said, however many processes or departments is how many whips you're going to have. So in October, we are the rolling department. Okay, we received direct materials from the casting department of 501,000. Okay, then we got 109,500 conversion costs for the period. And then we have beginning inventory of 29,000. We had 510,000 going to finished goods. Okay, and so journalize the cost of the transferred in materials for the rolling department. So it's going to be debited to WIP rolling. And it's coming out of work in process casting, because the things are casted first and then rolled. All right, so in goes, and this is the transferred in materials. Okay, so we want 501,000, 501,000. Okay, and then journalize the conversion costs. Okay, so then the conversion costs are all going to go in here, right? So we've got a debit to work in process rolling of 109,500, and I think I've got the offset. Here's a credit to wages payable, and there's how much we applied of, because they told us 66,500 is applied overhead and 43,000 is direct labor. So that's going to be 43,000 for, okay, I guess they want us to do the manufacturing overhead first. Manufacturing overhead. Okay, work in process, rolling. Okay, that's all of it. Okay, that's all of it. Work in process, and then 43,000 is going to be wages payable. Let's put that one at the bottom. Okay, and then manufacturer overhead rolling. Be careful that you use the right one. That's going to be 66,500. Okay, so just like we have been talking about, we're applying it. Okay, 66,500. It comes out. It's credited to the manufacturing overhead, and these two added together are going in the work in process. All right, so I think we should be okay. All right, and now we're going to move costs out of the rolling, which is 510,000, into finished goods, which I guess I didn't draw finished goods, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and move it into finished goods. Finished goods is here, I'll just draw it real quick. Doesn't take but a second. It's good to see it. Okay, and this is an asset. Okay, so we're gonna put this on the side. Okay, and this is finished goods. So we have a debit normal balance. Yep. And it's coming in as it's going out, 510,000. Okay, and then it's coming out of work in process rolling. Okay, and now they want to know what's the balance in work in process. Well, once again, we started with 29,000 beginning inventory, and direct materials came from casting of 501,000. Conversion costs came in at 109,500. Here's the total available cost we had. And we knew that 510,000 went out of the account going to finished goods. So that leaves us with 129,500. Okay. All right. We have one more and we'll be done with these. Now this one's not too bad. They're trying to get you used to looking at estimates versus actuals, or 1 month to the other to see what has changed. Okay, because it tells a story. So it says the cost of materials assumed in producing goods in the forming department of the Thomas Company are September is $5,390. $8,350 is for October. So there's September materials costs and October material costs. The EQ units, they give these to us, so we don't have to find them. 770 tons and 1670. So this is September, this is October. Now you're just going to take the number of 5390. So let me fix that. 5390 divided by 770 tons. And the materials cost in September were $7. Okay, now let's find it for October. So when we have $8,350 in material costs divided by 1670 tons, materials cost in October went down to $5 per ton. So the cost of the materials is decreased by $2 a ton between September and October. Now I know that that one wasn't very difficult, and that's okay. Not everything has to be real difficult. All right. So I'm going to stop my video, and then we will pick up with the next one. All right, so I'm going to stop my share. So, all right, we'll see you on the next video.